Drums Rock is a rhythm-based action game that essentially turns you into a drumming rock star. You kind of does what it says in the tin. You start up the game straight away. You're sat behind the drum kit. You grab your drumsticks and you get going. Really quite simple, but there is a bit more to it. So it does make quite good use of some of the new features in the VR2. So it uses eye tracking quite a bit, so you can get lost in the music, and if you're starting to learn those songs, close your eyes, keep going, keep drumming, you get nice bonuses sticking there to encourage you to fully immerse yourself in it. It uses the finger tracking in terms of grabbing the drumsticks. I was going to say drumsticks, that's correct. So put your hands around the sense controllers, grab them from behind your back, pull them out, tap, 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 off you go. It also then uses the haptic feedback to kind of give you that proper kind of feedback from the drums as you're hitting them, so you do feel like you're hitting a drum. But it is, as I say, what it says in the tin, you are sitting there playing the drums, and that is the game. There's various different modes, so there is a story mode, so you go in and it's basically split across 3 acts, and it tells you this story of you fighting demons across hell. So if you kind of think back to those rock band days, and you've got your drum kit, each drum's a different colour, and then you've got these enemies flying towards you, which are all basically colour coded to the parts of the drum that you need to hit, and you need to hit them as they're coming towards you, and there's like a perfect point that you're aiming to kind of hit to the beat, and you're wanting to build your combos, you're wanting to build your chains, get as high a score as possible to get 3-star rating across each stage. And then the more stars you get, then you unlock Act 2 and Act 3 to kind of progress through the story. And that's kind of it to a T. There's not really a lot more to it. I mean, it kind of not quite jumping to the end, but in terms of that wow factor, when you are going into that game, you feel like a fucking rock star. Like you do sit down there and you're going along, particularly if you know the song. So if you know that song and you're drumming along, you're like, right, I know this beat and I know which bit I want to kind of give it out everything at. But then you do look like an absolute tit. Like, so if you try and capture yourself playing this game, you are going to not look anywhere near as cool as you feel, which is probably the point of VR. Ultimately, that's the experience you want. You want to feel cooler than you look, and you are, and that really does this.
So, Alex, you sent us that video of yourself playing it, and I showed it to my wife, and she was like, "Oh my god, look how happy he looks playing that game."
It does.
I was like, that's even worse.
He does look happy. But she was like genuinely like, "Oh, you need to get this. Look how happy it's making him. You need some of that."
And it does make you happy. Because as I say, when you know that song, you're hitting the beats, you're seeing the combo build up, you're just like, you get more and more into it, and you just want to progress. But then that's kind of where at the same time it then maybe starts to go downhill a little bit, because there's not probably as many songs as you know as you want there to be. So it does have a kind of part of the soundtrack is licensed. So you've got things like I Love Rock and Roll, you've got Bring Me to Life, Evanescence, you've got Black Betty, things like that. But then there's other songs which are more like original songs because they've maybe not had the funds to get the licensed music, and you kind of feel like what they're trying to hit at, but it just doesn't have the same impact. And I think it would really benefit from a bigger, more licensed soundtrack.
Can you buy that separately?
Not,
sell that? No,
not at the moment. There doesn't seem to be any additional tracks that you can buy. Certainly not that I've found.
That's a big miss, isn't it? Because that's what a lot of these games, like I think Just Dance, for example, they've got a bloody subscription service where it's just so you can keep fresh new songs coming in.
I think
that's a shame.
If it could do that, it would really kind of give it more of a tail. You would keep going, bring those tracks in, give you that choice of the ones you want to play. I think there's certain ones in there, and as you're kind of progressing through the story mode, it's not like you pick a track to play. It's like you're working through specific tracks.
So do you unlock new songs then?
Yeah.
So that's quite good, because I guess you can get to that point where I like that song, I've unlocked it, brilliant. And that's quite a cool thing.
And you don't need to do them all either. So basically, as long as you kind of hit that, it's like most games, if you hit that star threshold, that opens up the next act. But obviously, your completionist, you want to go through and get each of the 3 stars. And you basically, the stars are, you get 1 star if you hit the score target. you get 1 star if you hit the combo target, and then you get 1 star if you hit the overall percentage accuracy target.
Right.
And if you get to a certain point in the song where your accuracy goes below a certain level, it'll just fail you and you need to start again. So there is a bit of a difficulty spike when it gets to a stage where it's supposed to have like scaled difficulty in terms of how you're playing, so it'd be intuitive enough to kind of give you the level of difficulty that thinks you're at. But I felt like it suddenly went from really easy to just really overwhelming very quickly, which is a shame, because I could have thought, well, just let me play it all in easy and I'll enjoy it, or let me play it all in medium. I don't want you to scale the difficulty for me. I just want to enjoy it. And if that's the case, when you unlock the tracks, you also have, like, outside of the campaign mode, you've got a challenge mode where it's basically like all the tracks you've unlocked, whatever level you want to play them at, and then just as high a score as you can get to go on the leaderboard, and it gives you leaderboards against, like, whether it's worldwide, local friends, etc., that you can just go and challenge each other to try and hit the right song.
That's me buying this game.
There's a leaderboard.
That answers one of my questions. I was going to ask you just really quickly before I forget, is there any Coldplay?
No. Unfortunately not, which is gutting. I would really like a little bit of Coldplay in some of these games. I'd love some Coldplay.
And when you play it, what do you see? Because often in these games you just kind of see the stuff coming down the pipe you need to hit. But is there like a stadium arena, like an audience in the background?
So basically the setting is you're in hell, and it's like different arenas within hell. So whether like one of them you're like in a hell cafe.
There's no Coldplay.
No. One of them you're like on the highway to hell almost. So you're sitting behind a drum kit that's almost on a highway. It's just these different settings, but there's not that many of them, so they're just fairly static. There's not a lot going on round about you other than the demons kind of flying towards you.
Okay, that does sound pretty cool, but also like that sort of thing, because an experience like this is the whole kind of wish fulfillment, putting you on stage as a drummer with a band playing these amazing songs in front of a huge arena full of people cheering and stuff. It just would be such a cool feeling. So it's a shame almost that if you're going to have such a good kind of recreation of the feeling of playing drums, you try and have that feeling of like playing a gig as well, and being on stage and having a crowd go wild for it.
That would be nice. One of the things it does do, which is a wee bit different though, is it has some like boss battles as you go through the campaign, so it changes up the gameplay elements. So one of the ones is you basically have, rather than have drumsticks, you've got boxing gloves and you're boxing the drums. So it's just like changing up the gameplay a wee bit without really changing it that much. You're just kind of, obviously a different experience, getting a bit closer to the drums and giving them a proper bang on them. One of the things I didn't mention as well on the main gameplay is like, obviously the finger tracking on the drumsticks is pretty cool, but like to get boosts and expand your sword, you can flip them, throw them, you need to catch them to like kind of keep going.
I was going to say, can you
bounce them off,
throw them up in the air?
Yeah, bounce them off the drums themselves, and they'll just kind of spin round. You need to catch it again. It just kind of builds it, and if you close your eyes or you focus on the monitor, it builds the meter to kind of increase that multiplier to get a better score.
Awesome.
But it's good, but it's not. It's got flaws. So one of them being that lack of like proper licensed soundtrack. There is enough there, but it could do a bit more. And the other thing is the tracking seems to be a little bit off. And some of the symbols in particular, like you can just go right through them and you're not hitting them. And I had issues with actually the finger tracking, so it wouldn't actually hold or pick up the drumstick. It just kind of kept dropping it. And I did restart the game and go back into it, and it was fine. And then it did it again, and it just feels like a few little bugs in there that just need tiring out. So they've tried to use a lot of the features of the VR2, and they're maybe just not quite there yet. Hopefully these are things that could get patched. Overall...
Nice. Just really quickly, Laurie, you can tune out for this if you want. The trophy lists, Alex, how's that?
Trophy list, all right. I think it's not going to be an easy platinum, because I think it does require you to probably like get 3 stars on every song and every difficulty, so it's not going to be 1. But it is quite generous with like silver trophies and stuff like that. So you're going to do a decent dent in your overall score, but it's not going to be the easiest of platinums compared to some.
Good to know.
They need to They did a Whiplash DLC where you can have J.K. Simmons just like shouting at you for not doing good enough and stuff, and just keep playing until your fingers bleed. That's what I want.
In terms of that kind of sickness scale, none. Very low on that. I don't think I had any feeling of nausea at all. You're seated the whole time, so there's nothing there in terms of movement. In terms of the old man scale, you do need to. Depends how much you want to get involved in this game. You can probably sit there and just tap away at the drums, or you can really engage in the experience and you can give it loud.
Play it properly.
Yeah. So if you're doing it properly, you could probably get a good 4 out of 5 there and get a bit of a sweat on. In terms of that wow factor, initially it's there, but I think from kind of what you were saying, there's no real, when you turn the game on, it's a bit like, please sit down for the best experience, and then it just kind of loads up and you're sitting behind the drums. There's no real proper like introduction or opening sequence or anything like that to like, this is really cool. So but the experience is great, like in terms of that feeling. So I'd probably sit at about a 3, but there is a demo, and rather than giving this some kind of cross-button certification and maybe say go and try the demo might be enough for you. But if you love the demo, then it's worth kind of investing the rest in it. Good game.
Rock on. And
it's £16 on the
it's not the most expensive
PS Store.
If it's something in that kind of rhythm and you've got a keenness for drumming, then it's worth a shot.